Welcome back to the channel, guys. Farm Sim Snowy here. So in this video we're going to take a look at grapes and olives, how to plant them, how to look after them, how to harvest them, etc, etc. So the best thing to do is if we jump into our main menu and scroll down to this icon here, which is the open book one with a question mark. This is our help menu, so it gives you sort of the basics about a lot of things in the game. But if we scroll right down to grapes and olives, gives you a little bit there, but the main thing for me is in the middle there. It says to gain the full yield you need to mulch, cultivate and fertilize between the rows. Special tools are found in the grape/olive technology tab of the shop. Once the grass is growing high, use the mulcher to keep the space between the rows clear. Cultivate after with a disc Ovigny V and fertilize. And at the bottom it says once grown, harvest your olives/grapes with the special New Holland tools and take them to your production plant or sell them. Remember to prune the grapevines after the harvest with the leaf cutter to prepare them for the next season, allowing them to grow anew. This step is not required for olives, but we'll go through all those things as we go. So just here I've got all the sort of basic recommended equipment to get you going for the grapes, and then over here we've got some equipment for the olives. Now you might be thinking, well, there's hardly any equipment here compared to there. That is because a lot of this equipment that we've got out for the grapes we can use with the olives. So the mulcher, the subsoiler and the fertilizer spreader, as well as these tractors, we can use with the olives. The best thing to do again is if you're not sure about anything, if we go into our sort of shop menu, if we scroll down to this open box icon on the left there, this brings us into our packs section. So if you're not sure about how to start, let's say with potatoes, if we click on that, it gives you the sort of basic equipment you're going to need to get you going for potatoes, right from the harvesters, planters, seeders, right up to the harvesters. So it's pretty cool with the tractors. So if we go to grapes and open that, this is all the equipment that I've got out for it. So we've got a Landini Rex 4 GT recommended to us. Then we've got our harvester. You're definitely going to need one of these because this is specific to grapes. This is the Broad 9070L. We've got the pruner there. We've got a fertilizer sprayer, also does herbicide. We've got a grape trailer. You definitely will need one of these. There's 3 different size grape trailers, but they are specific to grapes. You can't put anything else in them, and you can't put grapes into any other trailers, so you will need a grape trailer. Take a look at some of these things in the store as well. We've got our mulcher and we've got the subsoiler as well. We come out of there and go into olives. As you can see, a lot of the same equipment. So we've got the Landini recommended to us again. You don't have to use some of this equipment. Obviously the harvesters you will need to, and that grape trailer you will need to. So we've got a specific harvester here, the Broad 9090X olive. That is specific to olives. We've got the same fertilizer sprayer. We've got the same mulcher, a trailer. Now the olives you can tip into most trailers as long as you've got the symbol showing down the bottom. So in between sorghum and sunflower symbols, that is our olive symbol. So we can tip our olives into this trailer. So I've got one of those out. And then we've got the same subsoiler recommended that we've already got out for the grapes. So that's pretty cool like that. Now the tractors. So under small tractors, they recommend this Landini, which as you can see is very thin, which is ideal for going down the rows of your olives and grapevines. It does actually say up the top there, this tractor suits perfectly for grape and olive farming. Then further down the line there is a Fendt, which is exactly the same sort of size, very narrow. And again, it says at the top, this tractor suits perfectly for grape and olive farming. But there is a few other options. You've got this New Holland methane power one. Again, up the top it says the same. That is very slow. It only runs at 7 miles per hour. And this Ridgy TRAC here, the electric one, that is quite narrow too. In my testing, I did use this and I went down the rows absolutely fine with it. So you have got a few options there. Obviously, the bigger tractor you go with, the harder it is going to be to fit down your rows. In terms of the sprayer, there's absolutely no reason why if you come into here and go down to fertilizer spreaders, you could get one of these guys, because that will hook up onto a tractor. It's not very wide, and you'll probably find that you can go down one of the rows and cover about 4 or 5 rows if you put that on the maximum spread width, because this one here doesn't spread out very wide, which we'll see in a second. So it's sort of a case of playing around, seeing what you can fit down your rows of your grapevines. Again, the subsoilers, there's no reason why you couldn't use a slightly wider one, but you do need to be careful. And the mulcher, there is wider ones than that. And then you also have to take into consideration the horsepower of the tractors, because these, I think this one's 112 and I think the Fendt is a maximum of 114. So you start getting bigger things like that, you got to start thinking about the horsepower as well. Right, that's all that nonsense out the way, me waffling on. What we need to do is put down some grapevines and some olive trees. Now what I will say is, if you are playing with seasonal growth on, if we go up to our crop calendar, you will have this. If we come down a little bit, as you'll see towards the bottom, we've got grapes there. The green is the planting season and the orange is the harvesting season. So as you can see, we are in August. We've got the blue line running straight down the screen. So we cannot actually plant grapes or olives at this time. You can only plant grapes in March, April and May. And you can only plant olives in March, April, May and June. Now grapes you can harvest in September and October. Olives you can only harvest in October. So you've only got 1 month to harvest your olives. So if we come back out of that, I obviously do have seasonal growth switched on. So if I try and place down a grapevine, so if we go into our build mode, what you want to do is you want to come across to productions, click on that, come down across to orchards, click on that, come down, we've got our grapevine and we've got our olive grove. Now if I select one of these and try to place this with the X button, it tells me this fruit cannot be planted in August, so you will not be able to do that. And if I go across to the olives and try the same, get exactly the same message come up. So what I need to do is go into my settings just for the purpose of the video, and we're going to turn off seasonal growth. That gets rid of that crop calendar. Then I'll go back into build mode, cross to productions, into orchards, and we'll go to grapes. I'll zoom in now. I should be able to plant these now. So what I'm going to do is try and get a reasonably straight line. I'm not promising it. So we get a pole come up for the grapes, so we can move this around. Obviously I can spin around as I want, but if I just go plant that there, so I just hit X for me because I'm on PS5. So all I need to do is just hit X. I don't have to hold X down, and now I just pull that towards me, and as you can see, that is increasing that row. Again, you can move these, swing them around, have them out sort of angles you want. You will need to keep an eye on the price as well as you go though. So I think we'll just go, what's that? That would be pretty cool. If we go something about 4,410, so we're gonna press X. That then puts that row down. Now it will carry on like that, so what we want to do, I mean, you can sort of go weird sort of angles if you want, but I don't want to. I want to quit back out of that, so I press circle, comes back to the pole. Now what I do is try and line up another row. If you can see either side of the poles, you've got the grass texture there, so what you want to try and do is you want to try and gauge the distance from this pole to the edge of this grass, because that distance then is roughly what you need to have this pole next, if that makes sense. So when you place the next row down, the grass will be continuous between the rows. So if I try and do it, it will probably make more sense. So I'm going to try and line up this row with this one. Now if you come towards this pole too far, that pole then disappears, so that's telling us we can't place that like that. So what I think the best practice is, if you come just out until it appears again and press X, now I can spin round and I can now drag that down, and if I try and keep straight again. Now I know the first row cost us 4,410, so I'm going to try and stick to that sort of figure like that. Now hopefully if I press X again, the grass should all match up and fit together nicely, hopefully. If you go too far that way, it snaps onto that one and it says you cannot do it. So you want to be, again, as close as you can before it starts snapping over to the next one. So we're going to go there, I think, and I'm going to cancel that. So as you can see, the grass all joins up and looks really nice together. I'm going to place one more down, so I want 3 rows for the purpose of the video. So again, I'm going to get as close as I can. That will disappear if I pull back, something like that. Then I come all the way back down again, trying to get about 4,410. That's too much, about there hopefully. I'm going to cancel that. That is looking very good. Little tiny spot there maybe, I don't know why that's come up. But that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to quit out of there, and as you can see, got 3 rows of possibly a little bit I missed there where I might not have come over far enough. I don't know why that's there, because that is part of that row. But there you go, what, 3 of those placed down. Now the good thing about doing the grapes and olives, if we go into our map menu, we are over here. So as you can see, we've got the grape colour there. That's not very straight at all, is it? But anyway, that'll do for the video. If we come across this way, as you can see, everything needs ploughing, so it's showing that we do need to plough that area. But what is interesting is if we turn off a plough, this whole area which we are at, it was field 56, but I've taken it over, it's my test plot now. It does require lime, but if you look where we've placed the grapes, that gets rid of that needing lime there. So you don't need to lime your grapes, but you will need to plough them. So if I turn that back on, we will need to plough them, which we do know from the help menu. And the olives will be exactly the same. When you place them down, it gets rid of the no need for liming. So let's place down some olives. So back into our build mode and across to production, come down orchards and come down again and into olive grove. These are slightly different because you just get a circle there, because where these are the sort of trees, the bushes, you don't get a pole. So you need to line up where you want to go roughly and hit X again for me to place. And it says distance too short, but as soon as we start pulling, it then pulls out the olives like that, the olive trees, which is pretty cool. We're going to go somewhere about there, I think. So if we aim for 5,070, I'm going to place that down, and again we get the grass either side. And I'm going to try and line up roughly with that. Now this, again, because you don't get the pole, you don't get that sort of disappearing pole. So this is a bit more guesswork, so you could find that these are a little bit either too close together or too far apart, but we want to try and keep that grass the same as we go. So I'm going to try again, that will snap over, so if we go something like that, and as you can see I was probably a little bit too wide up here, so that hasn't, but that should be fine. It's not going to be a matter of life and death. We'll put one more down, I think, and we'll go somewhere like that. And we'll drag that down to roughly that sort of price. Let's get my camera angles right. I'm going to go something like that. That one looks a little bit better to me. So as you can see, the olive trees are down. Like I say, just a shame a little bit that one, but never mind. Right, so that is then placed down and planted. What we need to do is this grass needs to grow up a little stage first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip forward a month. I've only got it on 1 day per month, so I'm going to skip forward. Hopefully we should have a little bit of growth on the grapes here, and this grass should have been grown a little bit more, because then we're going to mulch it, we'll cultivate it, and we'll spray it as well. So we'll go from there. If we do go in this menu though and we go to growth, as you can see they're already growing, so that is cool. That's what we want. Now some of this I guess doesn't really matter what way you do it, so maybe we could fertilize now and then come back. In fact, I'm going to do that now actually. Let's put down a coat of fertilizer and see if that works. I don't see why it shouldn't. So let's hook up to this fella. And we'll aim to go down, so just turn on the sprayer. So it looks like it's working, it's going a darker colour. So hopefully that will give us our first stage of fertilizer. I'll go up this row and then we'll double check. And if you see what I mean, if you have them too far apart, you're probably not going to be able to sort of spray in 2 goes, if that makes sense. But like I said earlier as well, if you've got quite a few rows going, I don't see why you couldn't get one of those fertilizer spreaders, roughly go down sort of the middle, and you know, do the whole lot in one hit if you wanted to. So let's turn off ploughing. So as you can see, it's worked. We've got our first stage of fertilizer on there already, so that's pretty cool. What I'll do is I'll get the olives done exactly the same. I'll skip forward a month and then I'll bring you back in and we'll do a bit of mulching. So I'll see you in a little while. Right, so a month has now passed. As you can see, we've got some growth on our grapevines, and also the grass has grown. If we walk forward, it says it's 50% fertilized and it needs ploughing, which we know. Exactly the same for the olives. Can't really see much difference with the trees. The grass has grown again, 50% fertilized. Now if we look in our menu here, as you can see they're both growing. Now the olives, a slightly darker shade of green, because in my testing they grew slightly quicker than the grapes. These took 4 months I think it was to grow, and the grapes took 5 months to fully grow and be ready to harvested. So we need to mulch and then cultivate or subsoiler. Now because these are, let's go into our little packs menu and show you on the grapes, because those two are pretty much the same width. The mulch is 1.4 meters wide, the subsoiler is 1.5. I don't see why any reason, obviously depending whether the tractor can handle both of them. Well, you couldn't hook that up to the front, that to the back, and away we go. So I think we're going to try that. Again, I haven't tried this. This is a first time experiment. I did come on here earlier and mess around with growing the grapes and olives, but I haven't tried this method. I mulched first on its own and then cultivated, subsoiled after. So as you can see, there's not a lot in it. Obviously if you do try this and one's slightly wider than the other, more than this, it probably won't work. But right, so let's turn that on and lower that, and then we will lower that. What I will say is don't be afraid to get in close to the vines. They have got collisions on and you will bump into them like I am now. But the closer you can get in, the better, because it then gets in and removes all the grass. I know it probably doesn't look that pretty, but it does the job. And the same with the olives, don't be afraid to get right in up against the trees. So let's just have a quick look now, because if we go into here and the need ploughing section, as you can see that little strip we've just done has disappeared and we've got our fertilising state just there. So it seems to be working like this and the tractor is handling it, which is a bonus. So again, get right in as close as you can. You may get stuck like that, but the more you can get rid of and do properly, the better yield you're going to get. So as you can see, that's pretty cool. Let's just jump out of there and run in. As you can see, the now needs ploughing, if I point that way, has disappeared. Obviously this side needs to go as well. I'll just quickly show you on the olives, and then what I'll do is I'll get both of them completely done, and then we should be able to put our second stage of fertilizer on there, and then that will be them done then until they are ready to harvest. So they do take a little bit of work, but nothing major. So as you can see, get right in tight up against the olive trees. Again, you probably will bump into them, collide with them, but it's only going to smash your mirror off, that's all. You can replace them. There you go. Let's have a look on the map at the olives. Excellent. Tiny little gap there, I might have missed a little bit there, but I will get them done and I'll bring you back in when they are all ready to go and we can start fertilizing. Right, that's that job all done. So just to prove that you can mulch and cultivate or subsoil at the same time, obviously providing there's not too much of a difference in the widths on both pieces of equipment. If we now look in our menu, as you can see, the ploughing has gone, which is pretty cool. These little spots here, I think, is because, like I said at the start, so there's one there where obviously I didn't get the grass, and another one there fully sort of lined up. So just be aware, that's why it's really important to try and get the grass to connect up with each other. Right, so we can now put our second stage of fertilizer down, and I thought I'd try it. I know it's going to work. It's got to work, surely it has. I put a weight on the front because I wasn't sure, and I've only put 1,000 litres in there, so it doesn't seem too bad though. Seems like it's going to cope. And obviously we can change the working width on this. So at the minute we're at 42 meters, so it's a bit overkill, so drop it down to 36, 30. It's quite cool with the little blue bars there to show you how it's going to work. I'm wondering if 21 is going to be enough. So if we go down this side, oh, that's tight, isn't it? That is very tight. So that's what I mean about these. Let's go for it. It looks like it's working. As you can see, if you've got them quite close like I have. Oh, that is very, very, very tight. The thing is getting narrower down this end. And now we're stuck. Really? I am stuck. So let me just check. So you can see we are fully fertilized now on that. So it will work, but if you are pretty close like I am, that's not very feasible, is it? So right, bear with me. I'll get rid of all this and I'll see you in a minute. We'll go back to the original piece of equipment. Right, so I finished the grapes off, just got the olives to go. So it's just going to be a case of whether you can experiment to see what you can and can't get away with. I mean, the olives look even narrower than the grapes, so I guess if I'd run down the outside and had it on the 42, was it? That probably would have sprayed across all of those three. So again, tiny little strip there. I'll grab that in a minute. Right, what I'm going to do, because that technically should be everything we need to do up until harvest. I'll keep skipping through. I'll bring you back in because I think the olives will be ready before the grapes. So I'll bring you back in when the olives are ready. And then we'll skip forward again until the grapes are ready, and we'll harvest them all at the same time. So I'll see you probably 2 more months time, I think, if that works out right. So 4 months has passed since we planted our grapes and olives. Let's just double check. You can just see the little green grapes there growing. Still says they're growing. If we go over to the olives, ready to harvest, it says. So there's our olives, look, on the trees. Very cool indeed. If we go into this menu, you can see the olives are ready to harvest. The grapes are 1 behind, I would say. So 4 months olives, 5 months grapes. So I'm going to skip forward to January, and then they'll both be ready to go. Obviously I've got seasonal growth off, so we won't get any plant withering. So I'll see you in January. So we are back, and the grapes, look at them, beautiful colour. Now says bottom right, ready to harvest. So we go into this menu, as you can see they're both ready to go. One thing I forgot to mention is you can hire workers to do some of the jobs on your grapes and olives. When I was doing my testing, I didn't have a great time with it. They kept stopping sometimes, saying things like field not found and all that lot. So whether you get a bit more success than what I did, I'm not sure, but I did try, and some of them, they just weren't interested. So right, let's harvest the grapes first. So we need this fella. So if we jump in, start it up. I've left the help menu on all through these tutorials so you can see what's going on. So L1 for me and X, we need to unfold the harvester. That raises it up. And then we'll head over to our grapes, and you need to kind of line up over the vines, sort of in between the poles. I found if you just keep your row to the right of the cab, if you're out of this view, I mean if you go in like that, good luck trying to line up from in there. So let's turn on our harvester, and away we go. Again, you probably will get stuck and collide with them, but we are harvesting our grapes. Bottom right, it is going up. I love the way the sort of leaves flick off as well as we're going along. Very cool. So we've got 234 litres of grapes off of that first row. They do turn around quite well as well. Oh, let's back up. And let's head on down. What I'll do is I'll show you all the harvesting, because then we're going to tip these grapes into our grape trailer, which is over there ready and waiting. That's one thing I didn't show you, is the other two grape trailers. I'll do that in a second. Just finish this row. There we go. I think it's very, very cool though, the grapes and olives on here. I never actually, I know we had some mod maps in FS19, I never got to really play on any of those maps and experiment and experience the grapes on there. So this is my first sort of outing with the grapes, and especially the olives. Right, so first of all we need to back up to this trailer, because this harvester will tip out at the back, which we'll see. We should get our message. There we go. So start overloading. This is quite cool as well. Tips out from the back into our trailer. And we'll unfold that. That lowers back down. And then jump out. That is the grapes done. Can we get up in there? There we go. Pretty cool. 658 litres. Not too bad off of just 3 not very long grapevines, I suppose that's what they're called, isn't it? Right, grape trailers, I forgot to show you. If we go back up to tools and grape technology, because it does have its own separate, there we go. So we've got your pruner in there and the fertilizer spreader. You've got these 3 trailers. So this is the one we've got, which is the smallest one, 6,000 litre capacity. Then we've got this one, 12,000 litre capacity. And we've got a 14,500 litres capacity. So you have got a few options there if you want. And then we will harvest the olives. Also, a good giveaway if you're stuck, you don't know which one. This harvester does say olive on it, the other one doesn't say grape, it just is blank. So again, jump in, L1 and X, unfold harvester. Slightly different because we've got this bigger opening where the sort of bushes, the trees have got to filter in. But same principle, you need to line up, turn it on. And away we go. As you can see, we're going straight down the middle. Pretty cool, I must admit. And then once this is done, it's the same sort of scenario with backing up to your trailer, tipping them in. Be interesting to see how many olives we get off of here, because they are smaller than the actual grapevines in terms of distance. So last row. So 629 litres, that's not too bad, considering that was a smaller, or in smaller rows in terms of length. So again, back up to our trailer, we should get our start overloading, there we go. And they're going to tip out into that trailer. And then we'll unfold, or fold up rather. That lowers it back down. And turn off. That is both the grapes and olives harvest. If we come up here, it already says withered, and obviously it needs ploughing because they will need ploughing after every single harvest. As you can see, withered, needs ploughing. Now in terms of the pruning for the grapes, because that is it now for the olives, all you do is repeat the cycle. So you'll need to wait for the grass to appear, mulch. Well, I think you will actually, I'm not 100% sure on that, I haven't tested that. What we'll do actually is we'll skip through a month, because we need these leaves to go a brown colour, which they will next month, and then we'll prune them and we'll go through that process. And I'm wondering if this grass is going to grow up again. It should do, I would imagine. Obviously you will need to go through them with a subsoiler as well. So I'll skip on another month and then we'll go through the pruning process. Let's just quickly see that menu. So the harvesting colour has disappeared. Again, it says they need ploughing. That's gone. And obviously we'll need fertilizing as well, like so. So I'll see you in a month's time again, and we'll go through the next process for the grapes. And it's now February and it is snowing. You can see all the grass is very frosty looking. Now, as you can see, the grapes have gone like that, so we need to prune them. I'm not sure this grass has grown up again, actually, another stage, possibly. But you will obviously need to go through that process again. But we're going to do the pruning, so if we jump in the Landini for this. Now this is the pruner. Obviously you can hook this up to the front or the back. I just think it looks better and it's a bit more easier to see if you hook up to the front. So for this we're going to do L1, unfold pruner with the X button, and then turn it on, and then away we go, and just aim. It should clip around the posts like that, and as you can see it's getting rid of all those dead leaves. Ready to go again. Pretty cool. Love the actual idea of it all. It's very, very smart. And just go up through the middle. But as you can see, pretty straightforward. And now the grapes are good to go, and you go back to the same whole process again. Repeat what we did all earlier. Obviously you don't need to do this pruning with the olives. They're ready to go as they are. So that is it. I hope I've covered everything. If I've missed something out, or you know something that I haven't mentioned, then please let us know in the comments. But that hopefully has helped some of you guys with the grapes and olives. It was interesting learning about them myself when I was doing the testing, finding different things out, what works, what doesn't work. So hope you have all enjoyed the video. If you have, please give us a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, then please do, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos of mine. I've been Farm Sim Snowy. Stay frosty.